Mini Wargamer Dave here from miniwargaming.com. Welcome, Wargamers, to the Shrine of Chaos. Today we have a very special guest. You've heard his voice before, and if you haven't, hear his voice, and then you'll never forget it. This is JT McDowell from Play on Tabletop. How are you today, JT?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic, Dave. Thanks for having me on. It's always a massive pleasure, sir.
And, okay, so first off, there's a lot of stuff that I want to dive into with you. You're a veteran of the hobby, and there's a lot of experience that you have. So the topic today mainly is complaining about the hobby. Why? You know, like, first off, why do you think there is so much? Is that typical in any industry, gaming industry, where people love the game so much they just complain? They have this.
Yeah.
It's like, what is it about it? Is it, like?
I think there's an element of that. I think there is an element of that people love something so much that they're just committed to don't mess with my fun. I mean, you look at sort of some of the fandoms like Star Wars and Star Trek and I mean, those are the two, even Marvel. A lot of these stand out, and then if you do something non-canon, oh, woe be upon your head. You're going to get eviscerated. But I think the investment that people have in it, not just emotionally, but even financially, I think that maybe causes it. But I used to complain about it, sure. But then I got to the point where I realized that this is supposed to be fun. This is my zen. This is relaxing. And complaining isn't fun to me. So I just, I might moan once in a while, like, oh, really? That's how that works? Okay. But in the end, it's just a game. And it sounds dismissive, but it isn't, because I don't want negativity to jump into my game.
You know what? That's okay. That's very. I think you hit on something there, and by all means, viewers, when you're and listeners as well, like, leave your comments. Let us know why you think people complain so much, and it's so apt for complaining. But I think what you said there makes sense. That it is because we personalize it so much. We tailor our experience to the game. And when something doesn't go the way we want, it interrupts that flow of enjoyment for us. And we want to steer it back. And therefore we complain about it, even though it's something we're just we love. And you said something interesting as well. You said it's just a game at the end of the day. And although that is true, it is just a game at the end of the day, dare I argue to say that it is more than a game for many people.
I think you're right. I think it takes on a bigger aspect. I think it's a huge undertaking and a huge part of a lot of people's lives. A huge part of my life. I mean, good grief. We have a channel dedicated to making Warhammer battle reports, for crying out loud. That's a big chunk of half a dozen of us lives just to do this and to produce this. So yeah, it is a big deal. But in the end of it, the concept that I have that it is just a game, it lets me let go of some of those things that I can't really control. Like the big one right now is in the competitive scene, the Drukhari Codex is nuts. It is incredibly strong, bordering on broken. And there have been a lot of people complaining about it. At a recent GT level or huge major level event, I think 5 or 6 of the top 16 lists were playing some version of Drukhari. That tells you that, okay, maybe there's something wrong with this book, or maybe there's something wrong with how people are playing against it. I mean, the numbers say that it's got a 70+% win rate, which is insane. That says that this is maybe a little strong, but to complain about that, to fight against that is literally like, I mean, you're punching the wind. There's Games Workshop is going to adjust it or they're not. They have a plan or they don't. And when I say it's just a game, that's where I look at it, because I can waste all that time and energy and angst and worry about it, or I can just keep playing and hope that it fixes. Like right now, I don't even play it socially anymore. I won't play my Drukhari Codex against guys for fun in the small bubbles that I have, because it's too strong.
It's too strong.
It's way too strong. I mean, if we're going to set up a game in this era of COVID where, okay, so I've sanitized the table, I've set everything up, we've got everything ready to go, we're both wearing our masks, we're doing our thing, and it's only certain guys in the bubble that can do this, right? Staying in our health regions, because that's what our provincial order is right now. You can't travel outside your provincial health region. And if we do all that, why would I bring a list that in 2 to 3 turns is going to end the game? if somebody is spending that time and effort and I'm doing the same, why would I do that?
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin something. Let's play a full game here. Let's have something competitive.
Yeah.
So I don't play it anymore. So, and that's what I mean by it is just a game. It's your game. You can play your game how you want.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. But I don't see the point in wasting all that energy. I have other things I got to worry about. I'm old. My knees are shot.
Do you think it stops becoming competitive when it becomes so imbalanced that one army is so much stronger than the rest?
I think one of two things have to happen at that point. The meta, the lists around it have to change. But as we saw recently at the Dallas Open, even lists that didn't change hard enough, and they weren't good enough to do it. Mm-hmm. So I think there does need to be a rebalancing. The concern that I think a lot of players have is if they nerf it into the ground, what happens when the next book comes out and it does exactly the same thing, right? Yeah. The problem, I mean, we're not in on at least I'm not in on the prognostications of great granddaddy GW. So everything I say with a grain of salt, folks, because I really don't know what's going to happen next. I feel, though, that the next books are going to redress some of this and show some of the power that the Drukhari have right now playing into the current meta with the 3 books that we've had this year, or 2 books we've had this year. Mm-hmm. I think the next books are going to really take the top off that and open it up a little more. But in the meantime, a lot of people are complaining about it. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Complain away. Like I'm not gonna begrudge somebody who wants to complain about it. Let them. Mm-hmm. That's their hobby. If that's fun for them, great. I don't have to listen. I can just scroll right by, and that's the wonderful thing about the internet. It's also the worst thing about the internet is that you can just scroll right by. You don't have to listen to it. You can agree with it or not. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to complaining isn't new, and it's not just about the Drukhari Codex. I mean, you and I have been in this. I hate to say this, but we've got probably over half a century between us of gaming experience when we really think about this. There's always been somebody complaining about something. I mean, we can go all the way back to, and remember early fantasy. I remember, was it 5th edition fantasy where the Dark Elves and the repeating crossbow silliness was just insane? The bolt throwers. It was the bolt throwers.
Okay.
You remember that?
Okay, so this is something I have heard of, not experienced, but yes.
Oh, am I that old?
Well, okay, so to be fair, I've never played fantasy, so yeah, I could be a veteran player, and I still wouldn't. But I have heard of it because I've just heard it in passing and talking about it, right? Because they're like, oh yeah, I've heard it before because it was such a big deal.
It was huge, and that was where a lot of times things like army comp. Mm-hmm. So if you take X unit, you're deducted Y points and stuff like that would happen. So that was something that happened because the game was inherently imbalanced. And at the time, Games Workshop wasn't really into the balancing aspect of it. They were into making cool models. And they've really come around on that in the last few years. There's been some other game systems that have kind of died because their rule systems just didn't hold up. And I can think of a few right now. I won't mention them out of fairness to them. But when everything's broken, nothing is actually really fixed. And that's kind of their system and the way it went. But Games Workshop's changed that. They're responsive. They're just not as responsive in a COVID environment, I think. And I think that's also a factor we need to worry about. But the complaining has always been a part of the hobby. I mean, I remember in BattleTech when the clan invasion happened, and everybody complained about these, the OP weapons, and you can target a mech and you can shoot its head off from across the map, but that's not. Every game has it. Mm-hmm. Every game has complaining, and I think it's ingrained into the hobby. Like I really think it's part of it. I've taken part in it. We all have at some point.
Is it healthy?
I don't think it is. I think some people need to get that release, and I think, and it's funny. I think that there's. The hobby is a release for a lot of people. It's you can phase out of existence for a while, and you can be on the tabletop, and your level of immersion varies on who you are and how much you want to put into it. But I think for some people to get that angst out and that energy out and that stress of the day out, maybe they bring that into the game and then they complain about the game and it takes it away. Maybe there's a transference that goes on there. I'm sure there's psychiatry professors and stuff watching us right now that can tell us better how that works. But it's also funnier. The older I get, the less that I care about those things. So I think that's part of this too. But I know guys my own age who still grumble about everything.
Right.
And it's like, why? Why? If you complain about the game so much, why are you playing? And if you complain about the players you play against, there's one common denominator that exists there in every game you play, and it's you.
Yeah.
So is it you or is it the player?
Or is it the player? Yeah. So, okay, so someone left an interesting comment here. They said, I stopped watching a number of YouTube channels that just turned into GW hate vids. That's a curious thing, too, because that is kind of its own thing that has morphed into existence.
It has, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rants and raves and raging against the game manufacturer. Again, I think it's that entitlement thing, right? You feel invested. Entitlement's not the right word. Invested. You feel invested.
Okay.
I think a lot of times with when we talk about toxic fan bases, and Star Wars has got to be one of the worst. I have a 14-year-old son, and he comes to me and says, "Dad, why do people hate on this? Why do people hate on this?" And I'm like, "Because they don't get it, man. It's just don't." You try to explain it to them, and people hating on the different prequels and the sequels and all this stuff. Like, yeah, well, they're meant for a 10-year-old kid. They're not meant for a 40-year-old grown man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, watch Star Wars again. The movie's crap. The movie really is. I love the movie. It is a seminal work in science fiction. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But the movie's kind of dumb. Like, it's literally, boy grows up, boy finds mentor, boy saves the day. Like, this is not an epic storytelling journey. The movie was just cool to watch, and it was fun, and that's what it was meant for. But if you watch it as if you can put yourself in the mind of a 10-year-old kid and watch Star Wars, dude, you love it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's for. And we start, I don't know if there's a transference of what's the word, nostalgia,
mm-hmm.
that people get. Maybe that's what causes some complaints.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see top tier players worrying about the state of a competitive meta in a 40K game or in a tabletop game, because they're deriving some, I wouldn't even say financial benefit from it, because some are,
mm-hmm.
but they're deriving sort of their name and their brand and who they are from that. And that's what drives them in the hobby. So it's a concern for those players for sure.
Right.
If the parent company doesn't want to fix it, well, how the heck am I supposed to compete? Am I going to jump armies every week?
Right.
So then
a lot of these guys
you
do
should.
that, right? Yeah.
They do.
They learn multiple
because
armies.
They know.
Yeah. Okay, so in my position where I don't focus on the competitive nature of the game, I focus on more so the storytelling aspect of the game. So I find that new rules, things that come out, super powerful, it doesn't have the same effect on me. And I think even if I was, which I wouldn't be, but even if I was the type of player to play more competitively and in tournaments, I think it's also personality based, because ultimately I care about bantering and having fun than I do about the specific rules and balance and gameplay. That's just that's my take on it. So I think it really comes down to personality, because I'm just trying to think of what do I complain about in the hobby.
People complaining?
Yeah. Why are there so many people complaining? I hate that. Like, what is I mean, there's like obvious things that stick out. That I'm like, okay, that's not cool. Why did GW do that? There's but that's different than the game of Warhammer or the balance of the armies or whatever. That's different. That's like, ooh, that was a kind of questionable choice. Why did they do that? It's more so out of curiosity. But complaining, ranting about it, that's not something that I've done to any really real extent. I don't think.
Years past, I'm sure I have. I know that, and I've not just Games Workshop or Warhammer or Traffic or the lineup at Starbucks or whatever it might be. I've gone on some epic rants, a lot of angst, a lot of anger, a lot of tension in the young JT. But as I get older and I realize that it's just, you got to pick your battles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a big part of this, honestly, it's the COVID hangover that we're all dealing with right now. We can see the end of that tunnel, and we know that it's coming, and we want to get going, and we want to get out there, and we want to play. And then, wait a minute, the moment I hit the ground running, I'm going to get my butt kicked because the rules are not where they should be. And hey, this isn't cool. What are you doing, guys? And I can see how that could ramp some angst up for sure.
Yeah.
But it's, as the beneficiary of amazing Drukhari rules, And they are exactly what I didn't want to have happen. They're so good that I shake my head. It's been really hard to play them at a competitive level because they haven't been a top tier army for a very long time. The players that play them and play them well have been able to play them at top tiers because they know the army so intricately,
Right.
and it's very multi-layered.
Mm-hmm.
It's unlike some armies where you can just shove models forward. Drukhari is an army that I have to pick this, then this, and this, and your target priority is very important because it's all about overlapping all sorts of things. It's very intricate, and the detail that you have to bring to a battle, you have to do a lot of thinking, and it takes a lot of energy. Now they've given you all of these abilities, and that thinking isn't as hard anymore. And it's like, oh man, this is just like kind of playing on easy mode. And it has been, and that's why, like I said, I've shelved them. I'm diving into the codex to find weird stuff to play, because I'm like, oh, this is cool. Let's see how this works. And even that is like, geez, this is really strong. But it's also, we don't know what's coming next. We don't know what the GT 2021 book is going to look like, where they adjust points and balance stuff. We don't know what any of this looks like.
Yeah.
Yet.
It's all unknown. It's all kind of.
All unknown. So I see where the angst comes from, and the frustration and the anger. But that complaining part of the hobby has existed as long as I can remember it. And I used to take part in it. I mean, I get it. I look back now and wonder, what the heck was I doing? I don't get it. I just don't anymore. I've played at some of the top tables in the world, and I've played in some of the top events in the world, and I have more fun just playing the game than trying to win the game.
Exactly. Yeah. So
right.
Okay. So here's an interesting comment. So Full Frontal on YouTube says, I feel that the price of the game is the biggest thing that people complain about, and rightfully so. So let's talk about the price of the game for a second.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Price of the game. I mean, is it? Why would people complain about that? Is it because it's expensive?
It seems to keep going up. It doesn't seem to keep going down. But then again, nothing ever does go down.
But is it not relative to, like, okay, let's say there's another hobby you want to get into.
I got one for you.
Gardening.
Golf.
Exactly, right? That's
golf.
Right? That's an expensive hobby. Gardening is. You do it every year. You drop thousands of dollars if you own a house.
Yep.
Yeah, just to maintain your gardens or whatever, right?
Shovels break.
Hoses
leak.
Plants die. There's. Yep. So it's interesting. So is it expensive? Well, compared to what? Compared to other hobbies? It's like in my mind that's a weird one, because the price is what it is, and you have the choice to buy it. So is it? Help me understand this.
It's a tough one because the game looks incredibly attractive. It's marketed to. It's not marketed to guys our age. It's marketed to teenagers, to early 20-somethings. This is the target audience for these guys, that 18 to 34, right? And even before then, you see an older brother or you see a friend playing it and you think it looks really cool. But for a 15-year-old to go in and spend $80 on a kit, that's a lot of money for a 15-year-old.
Yep.
And I get that. And then when you realize that, holy crap, this is so expensive, it's the difference between what I want to make my army and what I need to make my army. It's the same thing in gardening. It's the same thing in golf. Sorry, my dog's barking. That would be the mailman. Apologies, everybody. Bruno is loud, and he doesn't like to be quiet when the mailman comes by.
Flesh hound.
He's my corn flesh hound. Yeah, absolutely. He's adorable, too. 90 pounds of I'm going to take you out of the knees.
Nice.
So you're spending money on gardening. Why do you put flowers in your garden? Because it looks pretty and because other people want to look at it. And you want to brighten your neighborhood, and you want to sit in your backyard, and you don't want to look at just dirt. You want to look at pinks and blues and stuff, flowers in the spring. Okay, now it's time in May. We've got to put new stuff in so that it flowers in the summer, and then we've got to put stuff in for the fall. So you're spending all the time, and it's getting enjoyment out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So a hobby is something that you do for enjoyment. Complaining about the price of a hobby, though, I think I don't get it.
Yeah, it's a tough one to get, because it's like
you want to do it. You feel like you have the need to get it, and that need sometimes overcomes the want. And because you feel the need, and you feel the marketing, and you feel the advertising, and you feel the necessity, and so won this tournament with this unit, and this what makes your army good, and the guys at the shop are saying this is what you should get, and then you feel pressured into it, and then you get it, and then you maybe don't assemble it, or you maybe sit on it for a while, and maybe you feel guilt. I don't know, maybe that's part of it. But I have such a ridiculously large collection of models now since I stopped golfing. Like, I kid you not, I have 4 drivers in my garage, and that's just what I have left. And on an average price, a driver is about $500-$600.
Yeah.
That's one club. I have 5 putters. Again, $200-$300 putters. We're not talking about your little blade putter that you got in your grandpa's old set. We're talking, custom made Yes Golf putters, custom fit Ping putters, Scotty Cameron putters. If any of you golf fans though out there, yeah, they're in my garage. I don't use them. They're just sitting there. My irons are probably still worth $1,200-$1,500.
Could you say that it contributes to your golfing pile of shame?
It's my golfing pile of potential.
Okay.
Because when the knees get healthy again, hopefully this summer, with the new knee and the other knee doing its thing, hopefully we get back out there and get to play again this summer. I can't play anywhere near what I used to, but I still absolutely love the game. And yes, it's expensive. It costs you $60, $70, $80, $90, $120, $150, $300 just to play on a golf course. I mean, out your way, north of you guys in the Muskokas are some amazing courses, and I love playing up there. But that's $250 a round. Like, that's a lot of money. That's after you bought your equipment. That's after you've paid $60 for a dozen of golf balls. That's after the beverages that you're going to have. That's on top of all that. Just to play it is a $250 fee.
Yep.
That's a lot of money. But you do it because it's your hobby.
Yes.
And it's fun. And sure, you can complain about it, but why? You're out, and and this is the other thing. We're not in a hall with 600 other people all sharing the same experience right now. We're all sitting at home on our computers and watching this stuff happen, especially up here and especially in other parts of the world where the U.S. has opened some stuff up, and we all just sit here and drool and wish we could be there. We can't affect the results, right?
Yeah.
But true. At least with golf, if you're out in the golf course, you're with 3 of your buddies. You're in fresh air.
Yeah. You're
having a couple of wobbly pops. You're enjoying yourself.
A couple of what now?
Wobbly pops. That's the technical term for them. Because you have a couple and you start to wobble.
Yeah, it's, I think I understand why it's said that the hobby is expensive when compared to other less expensive hobbies. A lot of times it's Magic the Gathering. That's the comparison. It's like, oh, it's way more expensive than Magic. Well, you are correct when you say that. To get into Magic, it is less expensive. You don't need as much in order to continue your hobby with Magic. But it could also be said that Muscle Cars is more expensive than Warhammer. So it's all really relative to what your enjoyment level and the priority that you put on your satisfaction with your getaway and your escape and your hobby. So okay, I would say it's moderately priced, because you can go like ridiculously expensive, and then you can go cost nothing. My hobby's free. I read books, right? That's my hobby. I'm a reader. That's like no cost.
Library card in your set.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so GW is more expensive than other tabletop games.
Yeah, I'd say on average.
Probably, yeah. I would say, to collect a full-size army, to play in games against other players, then you would be spending more money. I think that's accurate.
I'd also say their quality is better than anybody else's on the market. I don't think any other company is making plastic injected molded models as well as Games Workshop is right now.
For plastic injected, I would agree with that. Yeah.
The resin, stay away from it. I have a big hate for their resin.
Yeah.
Because I think personally resin is something that just needs to go away. Resin casting doesn't make sense anymore. Resin printing makes more sense than resin casting does. But plastic injection molds, the detail on some of these plastic models is just absolutely gobsmacking. Like I'm like, this is so cool. Like, it really is. So I think that may be part of it. You're paying a bit of a premium. Like, they're not they're not a bargain tabletop war game, if you will. They're not blocky chunks of plastic. They're not little wooden meeples. They're pretty high end stuff, that's for sure.
So as Mogan says, hey guys, loving the combo, but I'd say I only complain about the price personally when they make face-palmy decisions. My biggest one was when they came out with combat patrols, which was great, but then they soured it by removing SC boxes.
Yeah, the removal of the start collecting boxes was kind of. I think that's a repackaging. Like I don't know, some of them have been really good. I remember a few years back where they were bundling things, and it's like, why are you bundling things and not giving people a discount? Because typically you would go, I'm going to bundle this, and then I'm going to get 15% off, and I'm going to get more bang for my buck. But then they would bundle stuff, and it was like no discount. It's like that's not a bundle in my mind. That's just one click to sell me 3 things. That doesn't make a lot of sense for me as a consumer. But some of the Star collecting boxes have been great. Some of the combat patrols have been great. Some of them not so much.
Yeah. But usually the value is higher. Usually.
Yeah. The Indomitus set was amazing. Oh my goodness, what a fantastic box set.
Yeah.
Piety and Pain was pretty cool as well, especially when we see what the new rules are. Like, holy crow, that is a really good box set.
Okay, that's interesting too, because when a box set like that comes out, Indominus or the Star Collected Combat Patrols, whatever, when they come out, usually the response is, oh wow, that's a great value. There's no discussion of, that is a really expensive box set.
Yeah.
That's curious, right? Because sometimes those boxes are what, $200 plus? Sometimes
$270?
Yeah, sometimes they're like $150, depending on like the size, whatever. Combat patrols are higher than that. But still, the discussion is never, that's an expensive starter set. The discussion is, wow, that's a good value, because it's compared to itself. If you buy everything separately, it is more expensive. But still, at the end of the day, you're dropping over a couple $100.
Yeah, I think maybe in the end, Warhammer fans just really want, give me 5 points, give me 10 points off the top, save me the taxes. Maybe that's all it takes. Maybe that makes it less expensive. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just a little something that, hey, we know we got you hooked. We know we know we've got our fingers into your pie, so to speak. We've got our hands in your wallet. Mm-hmm. So here's a little bit of love to make it a little bit easier to take. Maybe that's all it really is. Just a little kickback once in a while. Maybe they need a points program. Maybe they need something like that. The more you buy, the more you get back. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be cool if they have some sort
of
again, infinity program.
I'm looking at my pile of potential, my 7 piles of potential. Oh, I have too many models back here. There's a box back there that has a Phantom Titan in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I found that the other day. I know I bought it, and I went, oh. And then I put it away, and I'm like, where'd I put it? Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. This happens.
Silver Skull Rewards Program. Nice. Yeah, that would be kind of neat. And I'm sure it would be... you got to wonder if they've actually thought of that stuff before. If they'd be like, how would it do, statistically speaking, after grabbing numbers and revenues and analyses from other industries and what they do in their infinity programs, how would it do if it applied to us? Oh, people are buying our stuff anyway, and they're clamoring over it. Do we need to do this? Maybe not. Maybe we don't need to do this. If we do, we're just losing money because they're going to buy it anyway. So, okay, I guess we're not going to do it. Like, I wonder if that's some discussion that they've had.
Yeah, I would imagine that's a valid point. I mean, if we're selling out everything anyway, why would we disappoint our shareholders? Because that's, in the end, that's really what it comes down to, is disappointing the shareholders, right? Yeah. They're a public company, so they are beholden to a group of people that are wanting, them to make them money. So you could buy shares in GW, and then technically you're supporting yourself, which would be kind of cool.
I bet if everyone had shares in GW, no one would complain.
See, that's exactly it. Maybe that's what they're thinking. Buy our shares, then you won't complain. That could be very much what they're doing. I think it's interesting that I think it's really interesting that they don't have that program, and I think it's really interesting that there's this theory that they're purposely limiting stock to go to favorite local game shops by directing everybody to their website and then selling out on the website and then limiting the amount of production that goes out. Mm-hmm. I heard that the other day, and I just kind of went, what?
I heard that too, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so I completely understand, as I know several game store owners, and they're frustrated,
Hmm.
and I get it because they're on allocation, they're limited to the numbers they can get. The shipping is delayed, and a big part of that is production issues worldwide right now, and shipping issues worldwide. It's a real issue,
Hmm.
and that's all because of different factories being shut down because of COVID, and all of these other issues that are logistically affecting the company. But this has been starting for a while now that they've been doing this. The theory goes that they're driving people to their website so they don't have to sell to the end user or the game store, and that they make more money by selling off their website. But if they're selling out on the website anyway, doesn't it make more sense to be selling through the game stores as well? Like if they're getting to the point where they're sold out in minutes on online, why would they not have more for the stores? Like it's just more product. If they can't, it doesn't make sense that they would limit the amount of product. If there's a limited run, we only have 10,000 sets or 100,000 sets or whatever it is,
Hmm.
then sell it, get rid of it. I remember back in the days
Hmm.
of fantasy where you walk into a store and this guy carries Warhammer, because he has a wall and a half, 30 feet of old fantasy kits that he's never getting rid of
Hmm.
because they had to carry them. I don't think they want to do that anymore because they had to take a lot of that stuff back.
Right.
They had to discount that stuff. So
Interesting.
when we it's I think they're really keeping an eye on production and producing what they can sell, not trying to hose anybody. Could they sell more? Sure. Are they going to be left with old stock?
Probably not.
Does anybody really want those old dwarf kits? I know I do. Because that's my whole army.
Oh, that is an interesting one. Oh man, as much as the game comes out, new codexes come out, and there's codex creep and there's balance. There's also like uh, the actual. It's this super meta to the balance of the product itself and it coming out and it being sold and it going out of stock and it not being available and it only being sold by Games Workshop. Like, what a fascinating thing to have happen. So okay, let's bring it. Let's stretch it really far back. Let's say that they made this wild decision to no longer supply independent retailers. It's only them. You can only get Games Workshop product through Games Workshop. Uh, does that hurt them, or does that make it better for them ultimately in the long run? What do you think?
Can you imagine what the shipping cost would be? Can you imagine if they only shipped from Games Workshop and they had a distributor in the US and then, or like a distributor in North America, South America? Can you imagine what their costs and shipping would be?
Are you saying that thinking it would be much higher or much lower?
Oh, it'd be way higher. Because in order for people to buy stuff from their website, it has a cost of shipping, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that would actually increase the cost of their products because at a certain point, there's usually a discounted shipping cost or what have you. As it sits right now, they have fleet discounts with shipping. I've done a little bit of work with shipping and logistics and stuff in previous lifetimes. The bigger you are, the better the deal you get. It's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much the way it works. So if they're shipping all over the world to game stores and shipping by the pallet load, this is a lower rate than
Mm-hmm.
shipping by the package to individual persons. The amount of logistics it would take to track and to take care of that many, it's not worth it for them in the long run.
Would you not say that that would be offset by the fact that they'd be selling their product at full retail and not at a wholesale rate?
Well, knowing what the cost that retailers get it for, as opposed to what GW sells it for, it's not that much profit. I don't think it covers it. I think they would have to increase the costs even more.
Really? You don't think that covers the cost of shipping?
No, I don't think it would. Not in this case, simply because the logistics on shipping worldwide. I remember when Games Workshop was mail order out of Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
That's how old I am. Like I remember that. And that was the guys were great, but they were off their feet because everybody was phoning them and we phoned them. Like we actually didn't email, we phoned. It was crazy. Or fax orders. Remember those? Good
Oh,
grief.
geez, yes, I do remember those.
But now it's click and then it gets routed and then it gets shipped and then it gets sent, but then people have to monitor that. And
So,
if you're shipping just to distribution points and then they're disseminating it, it's so much easier than shipping completely to the end user.
so then why ship to the end user directly at all? Then why are they doing it at all?
It's an interesting point. Probably because there are people that can't access a Games Workshop store, and there are people that can't access a favorite local game store.
But they access these online stores that are independent of Games Workshop, right?
They should be able to, right?
Yeah.
If they can, and then they can order from there.
Right. So it's a curious thing. So why do they offer that at all? If it doesn't make sense to do that shipping wise.
Probably cover all their bases when you think. If there's it'd be interesting to see the numbers on how it works, because what is the price to the cost ratio of shipping directly to the end user?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're only shipping, let's say we're shipping 25% to the end user and 75% to game stores, and I'm just making up numbers, I have no idea. Does that 25% make up for it? Is there a cost there? Do we cover that cost? Is it worth it for that? And at what point, what break-even point is it? Do you know what I mean? Where do we not? That would be interesting to see, but of course we're never going to see those numbers. But shipping is expensive, and small package shipping is incredibly expensive. And then there's all the headaches of lost packages, damaged packages. You know, when you're dealing with a game store, it's much easier to ship a pallet, and there's 1 or 2 pieces might be damaged. You're dealing with an account that a guy has got 150 accounts, and then he's dealing with those, and that's going up the chain, right? But if you've got, you know, an entire customer service team that now has to deal with every single end user that has a problem, that's got to be factored into it too.
You know, it's funny because let's take it in the opposite direction. Let's say they, because if you compare it to Amazon, right? Is that not what they are?
That's exactly what Amazon is.
Right?
Have you seen Amazon's return policy?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Just send it back.
It's basically just send it back, right? Yeah.
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 Just send it back. That's it. Here's my experience with Forge World, which is a Games Workshop company. Order got messed up. It was quite mishandled. It was a pain in the butt. I need this. I only got the body. The body is mangled. Can you send me this? Well, you've already hobbied on it. We can't send you a new one. I said, what? I ordered this 3 months ago. It arrives a week before I need it. This is silly, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
This thing is mangled. No, sorry, we can't do that.
It's a drop in the bucket.
And I just went, wow, just grab one off the shelf and send it. Yeah. I mean, they messed up eventually they refunded my entire order.
Yeah. But that's still not what you wanted. You want the mini. You want the part. I
want the part.
Yeah.
Right. That was the key. And can you imagine doing that on a hundreds of thousands level of people every day?
Of like just giving them free stuff because they're
just giving them free stuff because they sent it back because it was broken. Now mine was genuinely damaged. It was just a mess. I still have it. It was just a mess.
I'm sure Amazon does that. They have those kinds of numbers,
there's a chargeback
right?
they work with, right? I remember doing it. Now I don't know if Amazon's like Costco, but Costco is sort of the in-person Amazon if you really think about it, right?
Yeah.
So the way Costco works is you actually drop your stuff off. And I remember watching a documentary on this. You drop your stuff off. This is what your floor space is. Those special Costco pallets that you have to be able to put your stuff on. And then they sell your product. And then after your product is allotted its time on the floor and sold, then they bill you. Okay, here's what they send it back to you, and then you have to bill them. So they have that product for the longest time, and they haven't actually bought it. So they have it. Any returns occur. Yeah. It's effectively a consignment. And then they bill you, and then they pay you net 30, net 60, net 90, whatever the heck it is.
Yeah.
That's why Costco makes so much money, aside from their memberships, which they make millions on. But that's one of the reasons they make so much money, because, yeah, go ahead and take it back. We're just going to give you another one, and we're going to bill what was actually sent out to the company and send those returns back to them.
Right.
So there's no cost to Costco for that.
Right. Whereas GW is different.
Cost of the GW is different. It's their product. So
right.
I think that would make a big dent in that. But then again, I've always wondered, why don't you just melt the plastic down and use it again?
Yeah.
That's what I always wondered, right?
Okay, so so many things, man.
So many. We've gone on a wild ride today, Dave. Holy crow, man! We're all over the map.
We're definitely all over, man.
And this was all. Was it? Who was it? Was it? I can't remember the name of the guy who gave the question. All about cost and expense. Yeah, this is interesting.
Full Frontal. That was
that was a great question. Great question, Full Frontal. You took us down a winding path. That's for sure. I love it.
So James Dackness says, if I can't even buy the product, how long do I play this game? Make more, sell more. If the company isn't growing, then they are dying. Okay.
Yeah, they're growing pretty big.
Yeah. I mean, they're constantly growing.
They were nuts. They paid back their COVID within months last year. Like, it was ridiculous. Yeah, make more, but make more of what? That's the problem.
The top selling stuff? Like, that's shareholder answer would be like, oh, what should we make more of, guys? What was the most profitable product of last quarter? Okay, let's find a way to repackage that.
Is that why we have so many Primaris lieutenants?
What about the armies that people have been complaining about online? Should we make those? Well, they don't really sell that much. Oh, okay, fine. Won't do it. We'll just go with we know what sells. All right, okay. Then maybe that's the reason why it just isn't done. That has to be the reason. It's money driven. It has to be.
I think that's why we have so many Space Marines, don't we?
Right.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. I think we just uncovered we opened up the box. We've got a peek inside. I think, Dave, you've hit it. Space Marines sell. Mm-hmm. So let's make more Space Marines. Space Marines are always available. Let's make more Space Marines. Space Marines sell. It's just it's a circle. So if you want if you want GW to make more Sisters of Battle, go buy out all the Sisters of Battle. But wait a minute. Did we just do an advert for GW? How did that happen? They're in my brain! They're in my brain!
They got us!
They got us!
Oh. And, I think that's just it. What you said before is the claws. The claws are in, right?
They're in.
Memberships? No memberships. They're going to buy it anyway.
But it's funny. I think there's a point there, though. You can vote with your dollar. You really can.
Yes, you can. I absolutely. That's probably the strongest voice that you can have. Yeah.
And it's you see those posts happen online a lot of times. Guys, if you don't think it's too expensive, just don't buy it. And that's really what it comes down to. If it's too expensive, don't buy it.
You know what? Okay, I think I just this little light bulb just went off. Okay, so I'm gonna make this statement, and let me know if you agree. The most complained about models are the models that sell the most.
Ooh.
What do you think? The most Primaris Space Marines? Oh, Primaris Space Marines. There's so much complaining about it.
What is the most complained about models? Yeah, Primaris Space Marines. I mean, there's people who would talk about stubbies for life and mini Marines for life, and we just filmed a battle report with Mini Marines versus Primaris because we had the rematch, Steve and Tack. Our patrons picked it, actually. They picked Steve's army, they picked Tack's units, and we just did that. I just did the audio for that. So yeah, I think you're right. The most complained about armies, maybe they've got a search engine that goes, okay, what are people talking about? Primaris.
Oh, free advertising. Okay, all right, we'll just fuel it.
And we'll just keep throwing more. Oh, man. These guys, it's like they do this for a living.
Yeah. And they've been doing it for decades.
It's like they know what they're doing.
Yeah. And, okay, for those who have said that GW does not listen to us and they don't respond to us, I think that is grossly inaccurate.
Yep.
I think they very much listen to us and very much respond to us by you and your point where we are voting with our dollars. That's how they listen to us.
Yeah, I think it's very true.
Yeah, because that's a loud voice, man. Oh, you know what? I'm going to complain about not having Khorne Berserkers, but I'm going to drop $1,000 on Primaris Space Marines. Which is the louder voice?
Yep, that's exactly it.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. I gotta admit, I have a ton of mini Marines, classics, whatever you want to call them. Mm-hmm. I don't like painting power armor. I'll be honest. I don't find it as satisfying as painting my pointy space elves. But Primaris are way easier to paint than Mini Marines. Oh my goodness. There's so much flatter surfaces. There's so much more to do. I do prefer painting them to the smaller Marines. I will give it that much.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Aesthetically, I think they're very good looking.
I think they are.
I actually like the way they look. I have nothing against that. And it's not so much that I dislike. It's not the Primaris that I dislike. What I dislike is the lack of new Khorne Berserkers. That's what I dislike.
Yeah, lack of new Khorne Berserkers. I mean, you would think that Primaris Khorne Berserkers I mean, if a
Yeah.
corn berserker, you mean I can kill more? I get an extra attack. I'm crossing the Rubicon. Oh, wait a
Absolutely.
minute.
Yeah.
Chaos doesn't have that, do they?
No. No.
Oh,
Not.
see, I have a whole theory about where the universe is going that they just take us off on another tangent. That's for another show, though. That's way out there. That's like I could go seriously hours just on that.
I mean, that sounds fascinating. You know what that sounds like? A perfect excuse for a custom narrative campaign.
Oh, doesn't it though?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Custom minis. Converted minis.
oh
Oh,
yes,
yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, that could be fun.
That would be fun. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Ah.
it could be like a play on versus mini wargaming custom narrative campaign.
Ooh.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Would you guys tune into that? Would you watch that crossover? By the way, I'm just saying this tongue in cheek because I've seen your comments. Thank you for your comments and enjoying the crossover. And by the way, if you haven't seen our crossover battle reports, because we've done two, one on PlayOn's channel, one on Mini Wargaming's channel. The one on Mini Wargaming was featuring JT and myself. It was our Bat Rep Jukari versus World Leaders.
It was so much fun.
So much fun. Oh man, the entire time was amazing. And then on PlayOn, it was myself versus Nick, and it was his Gene Stealer cult versus my World Leaders. So both games amazing. We have plans. We have imminent plans in the future to do more crossover. It's just a matter of restrictions and when we can coordinate. That's really the only thing holding us back, because we're both in Canada. We're on other sides of the country, so it's super far. You can fit about, like 4 UKs in between us.
Just about, yeah.
Just about, but same country at least.
Yeah, same country.
It's the same country. Yeah, it actually makes a big difference because depending on the restrictions at the time, you can travel from province to province, right? Whereas Buffalo, which is 20 minutes away, I can't cross that border. I can't go into the States.
I have packages in my U.S. Dropbox that have been there for a year and a half.
Oh.
It's 25 minutes away. I can't go get them. They're like, yeah, we'll hold it. I mean, it's nothing big. I mean, it's a couple of LED kits and some stencils and some other stuff.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's just sitting there.
And it has to be you that with your ID and signs that someone can't pick them up for you and ship them?
I could, but you know what? It's like I asked them what would it cost to ship? $47. No.
Yeah, it's just not worth it enough to get it. You can wait.
Yeah, I can wait. I don't need them that bad.
Yeah.
The knight that's sitting there without his lights will just sit there without his lights. In my pile of potential.
I like that. In my pile
I stole
of potential.
I stole that, and I can't remember where I stole it from. I would give him props if I could remember, but I really prefer that to the pile of shame. Plastics. No, man, it's potential. You got to be positive. You gotta. I think it might have been Jim actually. Jim might have coined that phrase. Jim Vezel may have coined that pile of potential phrase. So I'm going to give props to him for it anyway.
Mm-hmm. I've seen his restaurant. I stood outside his restaurant.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's a nice restaurant.
It is a nice restaurant. I had no clue that he was a restaurant owner.
Oh, yeah. He's a chef, man, and he's a hell of a chef. Yeah.
No clue. Yeah. I just thought he was a tournament dude, really good at the game. I had no clue about his personal life, and that is super awesome.
Oh, yeah. He's a great chef. He's an entrepreneur, and he's an amazing painter, and he's a good Warhammer player. The guy can just stop anytime. It's enough.
Yeah.
If he could sing, I'd be done.
No, that's it. Too much.
That's it.
Renaissance man.
Much. Not fair.
Where did you grab to add to your genetic pool, man? Come on.
Exactly.
Too many talents.
Too many talents.
Okay, so let's switch gears for a sec and let's do a chaos comment bomb.
Ooh.
And so this one's special, guys. This one's near and dear to many people's hearts. So if you want to participate in that, that'd be super, super stellar of you. Okay, so this was per JT's suggestion. I'm going to post a link in the chat here. So whether you're watching on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube, you should see it there. It'll be unquestionable what it is and where it is. And if you haven't participated in a Chaos Comment Bomb, this is how it works. You click on the link, you're brought to a YouTube channel, you leave a comment on that YouTube channel, and the comment could be something like, Dave and JT say hi from the Shrine of Chaos. Or it could be, you are being Chaos Comment Bomb right now. Or it could be something along the effects of, hey, Terrain Tutor, you're amazing. Keep on making awesome content. We love you. You've done so much for the community. Keep on doing stuff because it makes people happy. Whatever you leave, it doesn't matter, just as long as he knows he's been Chaos Comic Bond by the Shrine of Chaos. This is his most recent video that he posted on April 29th. The road back to the bench. See that? That's actually very fitting. That video, because it's been a while since he posted a video, right? So he made that post, and he's just telling about how he's getting back into it, making content. So that's it. Now I'm going to go down and just see the real-time updating of the amount of comments. So when I clicked on it, there was 525 comments, and let's see what is it. Oh, wait, it's not updating.
Not yet, no.
Oh,
I just commented too.
Oh, weird. Yes, I see yours. You know, I got a comment as well. Let's see. The eye of air sees all. And that's it, man. So thank you so much for participating in the Chaos Comic Bond. Without you guys, stuff like that doesn't happen, obviously. So,
It's the coolest. He mentioned in that video how he said, I'm not pushing the Patreon, I'm not pushing the channel, I'm not pushing any of that stuff. Just comment, like, just comment, not even like, just comment. Comment. I'd love to hear from you guys because he's been away from the bench for a long time. He's been dealing with a lot of challenges and issues, which we all have. I mean, every single one of us does. So it's nice to for a guy who's given so much to the community. I mean, his video library. If you haven't watched it and you need to build terrain, this guy is just—he's a wizard, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I love him. And his cracking on and thing with whatchamacallits and all the little phrases that he has. He's just a real asset to the community. So I'm sure he would love to hear from everybody. So please comment bomb chaos. It's just the coolest.
I think that artists in our community, they would be the glue in our community because they're the ones that you see the hobby in action. You see all this creativity. You see the painting stuff. You see the terrain. Like without that. Even the illustrators as well, the artwork, like everything in between, the sculptors, you name it, the cosplayers. And so all of that type of artistry adds so much to the community. It just enhances it. It enriches it because that's some of that other stuff is like in the periphery and it supports it. It isn't direct. Like trade making. That's not Warhammer specific, but they're making it for Warhammer. In a lot of cases, right? And it enhances.
In a lot of cases, yeah.
It enhances the hobby, which is awesome. I love seeing stuff like that. It always inspires me to see that, especially channels that are dedicated to it, who do it consistently, that make good, engaging videos that are entertaining. So absolutely.
And artists tend to feel the changes in the wind more than others do as well. More sensitive to things, they're more aware of things. They tend to, when the world changes, they don't necessarily change as well with it. And I find that a lot of content producers that are very artistically motivated are very sensitive about their work and worried about their work. And sometimes it's just nice to let them know that they're doing a great job because the internet can be a really dark and scary place. Mm-hmm. So those little comments and the comment bombs, I love the chaos comment bombs, but I've as I've gone older, I comment more and like more on more posts and more things simply because you know what? I like it when I get that. And I just want other people to know that I appreciate what they're doing. Even if it's just something that, hey, I dig this. Hey, this is cool. You used to scroll by and go, oh, that's neat. Oh, that's neat. Oh, that's neat. And maybe just, that doesn't add anything. That doesn't do anything, right? That doesn't help the community grow. Mm-hmm. And maybe it was my own fears that, maybe somebody's going to notice what I do, but fudge it. Yeah. I'm going to tell people what I like. And I follow some really great artists, man. I just shake my head. I'm like, I wish I could do that. I wish I was that good.
Yeah. There's so one of my new favorite things that I've recently discovered in terms of the art that we're talking about, now that we're talking about this, is when artists, they use an illustration, they use a GW artwork piece, and then they sculpt a mini based off of the illustration. That just blows my mind. That's like so cool. Like first off, to sculpt from scratch a mini, that is amazing. Right?
Oh, so cool. That when you posted, oh my goodness. The Horus?
Oh yeah. Yeah. The Orcus.
Holy crap.
Yeah, like completely
I just
from
stared
scratch.
at it.
Yeah, so for if you guys don't know what we're talking about, that's the recent post I made on Facebook and Instagram where there was an artist who made an orc Horus. So he called it Orcus Rising, and it was amazing. It was completely from scratch, and the model, like when I looked at the first image that he posted, it looked like I thought it was an illustration. I didn't realize it was actually a model that he had converted and started to paint up. So super cool and inspiring. I love stuff like that, right? And so what that does, it inspires me to make a story out of it, to kind of like focus on it and to spotlight it and just to kind of spread it out there for other people to see this really awesome stuff that exists within our hobby. All these things that are appendages to the gameplay itself and to the painting itself. So I love it. Just stuff like that I love. Can you think of an artist that sticks out in your brain?
Ooh, yeah. Let me find. I want to get the name right. I'm gonna look it up right now. I love watching her stuff. She's painting ultramarines right now. Well, that's her blue boys. I think that's her. Yeah. She's painting her blue boys, and she paints them in a classic red gun shroud.
Okay.
On the bolt pistols.
Mm-hmm.
On Instagram, it's Chick Paints.
Chip or Chick?
Chick. CHICKPAINTS.
Okay.
Yeah, I just totally dig the retro ultramarine look.
Yes, I've seen her stuff. Yeah.
So cool. So cool. So inspiring. Love watching that stuff. She's just follow her on Twitter, follow her on Instagram. I don't know what her handle's on Twitter. I can't remember. I'm bad for that. But I just dig that retro old school vibe. It just looks cool.
So here she is, Chick Paints on Instagram, and these are the models. These are the paint jobs.
They're so cool. Just classic.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that edge highlighting and kind of like the crispness of the model. It just pops. It pops on the tabletop. I've always been a fan of that.
It absolutely does. There's another one I follow too. He's more of a content creator, but he just had a wicked car accident. I think it was a car accident. Chapter Master Valrak. Yeah. Did you see that?
Yeah, oh. I saw that. Yeah. So I posted about it. So here he is right here, and he sent a thank you note.
Did he?
Yeah, just for all the positivity and love and warm wishes that everyone has been sending him. So
it's gotta suck, man.
That's gotta suck. Yeah, like broken bones and I don't know quite the extent of the accident. All I know is that he's in the hospital with broken bones. That's, I mean, it just whatever degree that is, it sucks, right? So yeah. So if you could head over to his page, give him a like and comment. That's another one. Just let him know you're thinking about him if you follow him. If you're unaware. If
you don't know what to say, the default little heart that works.
Yeah,
that works. It just makes it's something that I've really. I marshal my time. You know what it's like. We're content producers. We're busy, so I spend a good hour. I take an hour of the day to go through Instagram, to go through these things, and I will comment on things. And if I happen to have my phone near me and something pops up, I'll comment on it. But I'll purposely go through and try to get X number of comments on other people's work, because it's inspiring. And if it's inspiring me, then I think it's worth me saying, hey, that looks cool. And that's how you build a community. That's how you grow this stuff. I mean, it's a smaller version of the Chaos Bomb. The Chaos Bomb hits it all in one go, and I love it. But it creates a positivity. Circling all the way back to what we started talking about with the complaining. A lot of times that adds a real negative element, and it puts people off of the hobby. But I think you can, if you're going to complain, then I think you have to offset that by being positive on somebody else's work. So how about that?
Yeah.
I will listen to anybody complain about Warhammer all day, as long as you're going and positively commenting on somebody else's work. Show me you did it, and you can B-word at me all you want.
There's got to be that, and that's got to be that balance.
That karma, right? That yin and yang. You have to have it. It makes the sense to me. So.
It does. Well, JT, thank you very much for being a guest. Once again, always welcome in the Shrine of Chaos. Awesome, stimulating conversation today. We went on a wild ride, man. We talked about a lot of stuff. I I didn't know where it was gonna go. Like that's why
It was a hoot.
that's why I love conversations with you. It's just kind of, and there's so much too. Like you have so much experience with things, and you're able to talk about so many things. It's just a blast every time.
I'm like the talk show guest from the future. You know, I'm the I'm the guy who always is on the couch at short notice, right? What was it? Who was the guy that always used to show up on the talk show host? I can't remember his name. Oh yeah, Burt Reynolds. That's me.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you meant Don Rickles.
Well, you know, there's that guy too.
Yeah, him too. Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked out Play on Tabletop's channel, be sure to check out Play on Tabletop on YouTube. They make stunning, high-quality battle reports that are super exciting and just the best when it comes to the preciseness. The stuff that they create could be on Netflix or on TV. It is insane. First time I saw it, it blew me away, and it'll blow you away too when you watch it if you haven't seen it already. So thank you again. Happy
Thank you,
Wargaming.
Dave.
And see you next time.